I hate to admit it, but I was often embarrassed by my husband Harvey. When he would say off the wall things or give snide comments or look or actions that were inappropriate, all made me cringe and want to correct him and made me want to apologize and explain for him. Hello, I'm Dr. Renee Harmon. I'm the author of Surfing the Waves of Alzheimer's. It's a memoir of Harvey, my husband, and his time with younger onset Alzheimer's disease. And in the book, I don't talk much about these embarrassing moments, but it's just so common. I think it's important that we normalize it and talk about it. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's just so hard to stand back and watch and listen as things that are said and done that never would have happened prior to the diagnosis. I knew it was the disease and I knew that he was coping as best he could, but it still felt deeply wrong just to stand by and let it happen, especially if we were in public. I just had this need to try to explain everything to the people around us. So about 5 or 6 years into the diagnosis, our oldest daughter, Elena, and her boyfriend, Brett, took Harvey out to breakfast. Harvey was wearing his favorite t-shirt that said, "Cup of Joe to go." And the waiter was very friendly and came up to Harvey and said, "I bet you're going to order a cup of coffee." Well, Harvey looked at this young man and just said, "No." Well, Elena tried to smooth it over and ordered his usual hot tea at this point in his life, but it happened again. So the same waiter came by to take up their plates when they were leaving, and again, very friendly, asked Harvey, "So, did you enjoy your cup of tea, sir?" And Harvey said, "No." Well, they left, but Brett ran back and explained the situation to the waiter. They were all embarrassed, but I think they handled it as best they could. When Elena graduated from college, there was a reception. Now, the buffet table, our little plates full of little finger foods, and we're standing around eating our food, and Harvey reached over and took a piece of food off of a stranger's plate that was standing next to him. Well, the man just looked at Harvey and said, "It's good, isn't it?" And Harvey nodded in agreement and kept eating, while the rest of us just shrank with embarrassment. The most embarrassing time for me was at a restaurant. Harvey excused himself to go to the restroom, and I had a direct line of vision to the restroom door, and a gentleman was leaving the restroom, and I could see Harvey was urinating into the sink. Well, the man leaving and Harvey were both gesticulating at each other like this, and I knew something was being said. I didn't know the man. He wasn't seated near us, so we didn't have to have a conversation, but I was deeply embarrassed because it made me look bad as a caregiver. It reflected on me. It made me think, should I have not brought him to this restaurant? Should I have made sure he was supervised when he went to the restroom? But because it reflected poorly on me, I was embarrassed even though nothing came of it. So what can you do if you find yourself in a situation where you're embarrassed by your loved one who has Alzheimer's disease or another dementia? Well, you can ignore it. If it's truly not hurting anyone, you can just ignore it. It's best to stay calm. If you kick up a fuss about it, it can just escalate things. You know that. You can divert or try to divert or distract your loved one. Change the subject, move them to a different location, give them something to do with their hands. And you can explain and apologize. Some care partners carry business cards with them that have just a little explanation. "Please be kind to me, I have Alzheimer's." And the idea is to slip it to people that you're around, especially if something is happening. And I've provided a link in the description of this video to the Alzheimer's store where they sell these business cards. Other places sell it too, but this was just a very easy link to provide. And lastly, just know it happens to us all. And it's embarrassing when it's happening, but it can be really pretty funny in hindsight. We still get a good chuckle over thinking about Harvey reaching over and grabbing a stranger's food off of his plate. Thank you. Be well and keep your balance.